So what is the difference between select single and select? Select single is to select the single record, and the select statement is to select one or more records into internal table. So when we need to select more than one record, what is a suitable data object?
Internal
Select.
table.
Internal table. So when we are using select statement, when the select statement is executed, how can you know whether that select statement is successful or failed?
By doing sub-RC check.
By using SY sub RC check, you
condition.
can know that whether it is successful or failure. If it is sub RC equal to 0, that means it is successful. If it is not equal to 0, that means it
It
is
failed.
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 Okay. So there is one system variable, another system variable. Let's say after when we execute select statement, we can expect more than one record, right?
Yes, sir.
If you want to know number of records it is selected, how many number of records it is selected, how can we know? We have a system variable sy hyphen d b c and t. We have a system variable sy hyphen d b c and t. So that is the system variable we can use to to count number of records. Okay. Yes. Why? So this is the system variable sy hyphen dbc and t. What it will give? Number of
The
records
count of
selected from the database table to internal table. Okay. It will give the total number of count. It will give the count. Okay. So let's create program. Yesterday we created the program to select data into work area, single record into work area using select single statements. Today we'll create programs to create data into internal tables to deal with multiple records. We'll take the same table example. This one, right? ZDemo read employee, right? The program which we have created yesterday. We have observed the parameters. So what is the use of parameter statement? To define selection screen inputs so that user can enter input values, right? To select the data. Here we can pass that parameter in the where condition. What is the, we have observed this limit, right? The restriction of using parameter. So this should be within 8 characters, right? Now it is 7 characters. If you define this parameter name with more than 8 characters, it will show the error. Okay, like this. Check the syntax. So it should give you error that parameter name can be up to 8 characters long. So here we are using select single with required fields. We are selecting only two fields. Before that, we need to define type structure. You need to maintain the fields which you want to select in the type structure. Okay. So it is always recommended to select only required fields to minimize the size of the data you are selecting. Okay. We need to always remember, we need to keep number of records as low as possible and number of fields, minimum possible fields we need to select. Okay. That will improve the program performance. How can you reduce number of records selecting from the database? By providing valid where condition.
Primary key.
Preferably primary keys in the where conditions. Okay. So depends on the field what you are passing in the where condition, right? It will filter the data as much as possible. If you are using multiple fields, it will filter as much as possible. Okay. For example, employee ID equal to, sorry, anyway, we are using employee ID here. That's a primary key. If you are using any non-primary key fields, try to use multiple fields like city and date of join, right? Or city or department, like that. It will filter as much as possible. Okay, now create a program. One more program, employee data. Create. Now my requirement is to select or to deal with multiple employees at the same time. Or my requirement is I want to display, I want to read employees from a specific city or employees who joined on specific day, right? Now what is my input? Let's take date of join as example, right? So I wanted to read employees who joined on specific day. So what is my input here? Date, right?
Date, sir.
Sir.
Go to the table, not department data. This one, data of join, right? So what is the data element? This data element is already there. Define a parameter, parameters, p underscore doj, type, and the data element. Is it a mandatory input or optional input? I want to make it mandatory, obligatory. I'm not providing any default values. If you want to provide any default value for the date, you can provide. How to provide? Can anyone tell me the
Default
value?
year, default year, month, date, sir. Year, month,
Year,
date, sir.
month and date
Month, date.
without any separator. That is the SAP's internal date format, right? You have to maintain in the same way like this. 2024 01 01. Year, month and date. You have to maintain the date like this. Check it, check the selection screen. So it is populating in the external format automatically, right? Or
Sir,
if you want to maintain current dates, current system date, how can you do that? sy-datum.
Datum.
So this is the system variable to display the current system date automatically. So it will display current system date. Okay. We can also display some calculated values. So we'll see when we are working on the events, report events. Okay, and let me design the selection screen. Yesterday, someone of you asking me about selection screen frame, right? So you can also design with some frame and title. Selections screen, begin of block B1. Name something. I am naming it as B1 with frame, title, and title text. I want to display some title text. Text hyphen 001.
Zero.
This is text number which we are going to maintain in the selection text or text symbols, and close it. Selection screen, end of block B1. Now maintain the selection text, this one, text symbols. Go to text elements and text symbols. Maintain the text here. Enter date of join. It will automatically generate the number, that is 001. Use the text number in your selection screen block here. Anyway, I'm already using it. Now check the program, execute. Right here we have a frame and we have a title, right? Just to provide some information for the user who is executing this program, right? Also maintain the text symbol, sorry, selection text. So always remember when you are writing the program, see, you, in some projects you might observe a program with 1,000 lines, right? Please always remember that 1,000 lines of code is not built on the same day. They'll take maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks to complete that entire application, right? So always break your program into multiple parts. First, selection screen design. First, concentrate on the selection screen design. What are the inputs I need for the program? First, define the input parameters and design the selection screen. Is it working or not? Okay, it is working as per my expectations. Now, next go to the logic part. Okay, don't implement everything and try to test it. Okay, don't write everything at once and try to test it. It will confuse you. Okay, break your program into multiple parts. What are those multiple parts? First part, selection screen design. What is the next part?
Input parameter.
We should not accept any data, right, from the user. User cannot enter any inputs, right, any value as input, right? So we should validate user inputs. For example, if we enter data of join, we should validate that value. Is it a proper value or not, right? How can you validate employee ID? Is it a valid employee ID or not? Before going to execute the program, you can check that employee ID in which table? Check table, right? If that employee ID is available in the check table, then we can say that is a valid employee ID. Otherwise, that is not a valid employee ID, right? We'll see that in the next session about the validations. How can you perform validations on the selection screen inputs? Next, after validating the data, what is the next block of code you need to write? business logic, which includes data selection or reading the data or performing some calculations on the data. And what is the next part? What is the next part of the program?
Output.
Display output. Okay. Always divide your program into these four blocks. First, concentrate on the first block, that is selection screen design. Then go to validating the selection screen inputs. Once that is completed, validating in the sense, how can we validate? So I want to make sure date of join is a mandatory value, right? Let me try to execute. It is not giving me any error. Let me remove the value and execute. So it is saying date of join is mandatory. So my validations are working. My validations are in place, right? Next, go to the next block. What is it? Actually, we have a separate process to validate the selection screen inputs. We'll see that in the next session. Next part, we need to go to business logic, right? So select the data. What are we trying to do here? Selecting employee data depends on the date of join, right? Is it a primary key field or non-primary key field? Date of join,
Non-primary key.
Non-primary.
primary key
Primary
field.
key.
So is it going to return unique records or multiple records if we select data by date of join?
Multiple record.
Multiple records.
Date of join is repeating or not? It is repeating, right? There is a possibility of multiple records, right? With the same date of join.
Yes.
So multiple employees can join on the same date, right? There is a possibility, right?
Yes, sir.
Then for one date, there might be multiple records. Then what is the statement we need to write? Select single or select?
Select, sir.
Sorry,
Select.
Select statement.
we need to write select statement because I'm expecting employees who joined on specific date, not single employee, right? There might be multiple employees. So select. Now, do you want all the fields of the table or only specific fields? Do you want all the fields? Employee ID, employee name, city and everything, or only specific fields? Or you want only employee ID and name or city? If you want all the fields of the table, right, multiple records with all the fields, then select star
Start
Start.
from table
table
name
name.
into. Did we define
Into
the internal
table.
table?
Okay.
No, right? First define the
No,
internal table.
sir.
What is the syntax to define the internal table?
No, sir.
Data, IT or LT.
Data.
We can use some meaningful name for the internal table. Type, standard table
Standard
of
table of
which one we need to use? We are using
table.
select star, right?
Table.
That means we are selecting all the fields of the table. Take complete table reference into internal table name, break it into next line, where selection criteria, DOJ,
Into table, no, sir.
into table. Yeah, we need to use it into table for the internal tables, where DOJ equal to whatever the parameter input you are passing. Or you can also use hard-coded values like sy-datum. You can also use values like this. Okay, or you can also greater than sy-datum. You can also use like this.
Yeah, I have one question.
Yeah,
The internal table we are defining, right? Do we have to use that keyword standard, or just a table of is
Yeah,
enough?
that table of is enough. It works in the same way, right? Because there are three
Okay.
different internal tables: standard internal table, sorted, and hashed, right? So only when we are using
Okay.
sorted or hashed, it makes difference. But standard is same, like almost same, like table of or standard table of, both are same.
Both are same. Okay.
Yeah. So what is the difference is it won't maintain any sort order. It will maintain only insert order. Whatever the order we inserted the records, it will maintain in the same order. It won't change the records order in the standard internal table. Okay. The remaining
Okay.
internal tables like sorted internal table, it will maintain a default sort order by specific fields.
Okay.
We'll see that when we are observing the differences. Okay.
Okay.
Now my select statement is completed. Now how can we know it is successful? If sy hyphen sub rc equal to 0, then it is successful. Can we use write statement to display the output of the internal table, like how we do it
Yes,
for
sir.
work area? Check the syntax. No. Okay. You cannot convert internal table data into output. How can you display the output of internal tables? Through
By
By
looping
using
it.
loop,
work area.
loop,
Through work area. There are other alternatives. If you want to process internal table data, so you can only do it through work area. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Define one work area. Define one work area with the same type. With the same type zdemo employee.
Right.
What is the difference between internal table declaration and work area declaration? For internal table, we use a type standard
Or
table
in
of.
type.
Okay. For work area, we use type the table name. Now, if sub rc equal to 0, how to process internal table records? We have a special statement called loop.
loop
Loop
statement
Loop statement. Loop
at
internal
at
table name
into
loop at.
into
That is
work
the
area.
syntax.
into work area name,
Loop at internal table name into work area
work area
Work
table
area.
name, work area name, sir.
and end loop. So what this loop statement will do? It will loop record by record from internal table to work area. For example, if there are 10
Work
records
area.
in the internal table, so how many times this loop will execute?
10 times,
Ten
Ten
10
times.
times.
times. So it will place record by record, first record, second record, third record into work area one by one, right? Inside the loop, we can process this work area data. Okay. So loop statement is used to process all the records of the internal table. So inside the loop, we can use a write wa underscore emp data. And once you process the first record, clear it. Clear WAEMP data. Now test the program. I'm using default date of join. I don't think we have values for this. I'll take this one 0101. Execute. So now we got two records for that date of join, right? 0101. Keep a breakpoint and check how it is working. Where you need to keep the breakpoint?
At executable.
Here in the gray area, place the breakpoint. Okay. Now execute. Provide input. Execute. select desktop 3, double click on the internal table. Do we have any data in it?
No,
Do we
sir.
have any data in it? No, right? 0 records because the select statement is not executed yet. Double click on the internal table. So you can see all 5 fields of the table and no records because you are using select star, right? So that's why we defined the internal table with reference to the table name. That's why we have all the fields of the table in the same order. So press F5. How many records it is selected?
2 records.
2 records. But in general, how can you know the count? sy-dbcnt. It will provide count of the record selection. Okay. Sub rc equal to 0. Then F5. Press F5. It will execute statement by statement. F5 or line by line or statement by statement. Now what this loop statement will do? So it will loop record by record. First time F5, first record is looping. It will place that first record into work area, and after processing your work area data, we are clearing the work area. Clear, no data in the work area now. F5, next time it will process second record. If you observe this sy tabx, it is a system variable which holds the loop count. How many times the loop executes? So depends on the loop executions. This count will change. Since we are processing the second record, tabx is 2, right? sy-tabix. It's a system variable, so which will keep the loop count. Okay, clear? F5 clear, and yeah, all records are processed. Now it will display the out. Clear? Is everyone clear on the loop statement?
Yes, sir.
So if there are 10,000 records in the internal table, it will execute for 10,000 times. So that's why you need to make sure whatever the code you are keeping in between loop and end loop, that should not cause any performance issues because you are repeatedly executing the code inside a loop and end loop. Okay, clear?
Sir,
Yes.
sir, without using the select statement, can we, that means in the loop condition, by giving where condition, we get the records of date of joining, sir.
No, without writing select statement, you mean?
Yes, sir.
No, how can you
Yes,
read
sir, by
data from
giving,
database table without writing select statement? Internal table will be empty, right? If internal table is empty,
yes,
loop is not going to work. Loop is not going to start because there is no records in the internal table, right? You can loop.
sir, in our previous programs, that means initial programs, we give some where condition to get the records, what we
No, if you
need
observe the
in
program
that
properly,
condition.
first we appended the data to internal table from work area. Manually appended the data from internal table to work area like this, right? Then
Sir,
we
your
loop the,
voice is breaking, sir.
see, if you observe our previous programs, what we did, we manually
We
appended,
append the
uh,
tables.
we manually appended the data to internal table, right? Like this. First we build the work area and then we append
Yes, sir.
and then we loop it, right?
Sir, got it, sir.
Without adding data to internal table, you cannot loop that. Okay. So in our previous program,
Yes,
in
sir.
our previous example, we manually appended it and then we executed the loop, right? But what we are doing here, in place of that append logic, we are using select statements to populate the data to internal table, right? Yeah, here also you can use where
Got it,
condition.
sir.
Here also you can use where condition to filter, to execute loop for only specific records, right? If you want, if you even, for example, you selected 100 records from the database table into internal table, but you don't want to loop all of them, then you can use where condition, right? So that you can loop only specific records. We'll see that later, okay, that examples. Okay, is everyone clear on this?
Yes, sir.
So what is the
Sir, a
alter?
small doubt, sir.
Yeah,
Sir, can we use multiple select statements, sir?
yeah, obviously we have to use multiple select statements in when we are creating actual applications, right? So we need to write multiple select statements in the same program. We'll see how to select data from multiple tables and combine the output. Okay, we'll see after 2
Okay.
sessions. Okay, once you got clear understanding on writing select statements. Okay,
Okay.
Sir, I have one more doubt, sir. Can I ask?
yes, please.
Sir, how can that means how can we restrict the user to
Sorry, your voice is not cutting out, in and out. Okay. Hello, what's your question? How to restrict the user to?
select only particular dates, uh, like select only particular employee ID numbers, like we
Huh?
did in the tables, sir,
Yeah,
like
that's what.
master table,
Yeah, that's what we need to.
like
We need to implement the validations. We'll see that in the next session. Okay. To restrict user to enter only specific data, or if you want to validate the entry, the here we are just checking there is a value or not by using obligatory, right? If there is some value or not, if you want to validate the specific value, then we need to implement the validations. We'll see that in the next session. Okay, how to do validations on the values, how to check the values. Is everyone clear on writing this select statement using internal tables? So the alternative to display the output is, instead of using loop, we have CL demo output, but you should have clear understanding on the loop statement. Loop is not only to display the output, okay? Here we are just displaying some output, but usually loop is to process the internal table data, to apply some calculations, to apply some conditions, right? Inside the loop, we do that. You can also use a CL demo output, okay? Without using loop, you can, if you want to just display the data without processing the internal table records, you can also use this, right? To display data in this tabular format. But you should have clear understanding on the loop statement. Okay. Now, how can you select only required fields? Now I am selecting all the fields of the table, right? Now I am selecting all the 5 fields, right?
Yes,
But
sir.
my requirement is selecting only required fields. What you can do? Instead of defining
Type structure.
internal table and work area with type, in a table reference, define a type structure.
Type structure.
Begin of ty underscore some name emp data. I want to select emp id, data element of the employee id, employee name, and also I want to see the date of join or phone number. type, end of. This name in some projects we use GTY or LTY like this. Right? In some projects we simply use TY. It purely depends on that project naming standards. Okay. So instead of table reference, what you need to use here? Comment this.
Type structure.
Type structure reference. Dot, comma. Okay. Now, can we use select star?
No, sir.
No.
No,
We have
sir.
to use individual fields in the same order. How you maintained in the type structure? So maintain in the same order here. Always try to maintain these fields, right? Type structure fields in the same order like table. Okay. You change the order. Is it going to work or not? For example, I'll change the order. Employee name here and employee ID in between. Is there any syntax error?
No, sir.
No, it's not showing any error. But is it correct? Is it a correct format to use?
No.
Now let's see the output. What will happen if we don't follow the correct order? So here we defined employee ID first, employee name and phone number. But in the select statement, what we are doing, we are selecting first we maintain employee name, employee ID and phone number. Let's see how it will work. What happened here? It placed employee name in employee ID and employee ID in
ID.
employee name fields, right?
Yes, sir.
That is incorrect. So you should always maintain same order. Okay. Keep the breakpoint and try to debug. Execute. So F5, press F5 to execute line by line. F6 is for function by function. When we are working on the function modules, we can see. So F8 is to complete the execution. F8. Press F5. So subarc is 0. DB count 2. So double click on the internal table. So how many records we selected? 2 records. How many fields? 3 fields.
Fields.
F8. Here. You can also loop instead of CL demo output. You can also loop. Try both. Okay. Preferably loop statement. So that loop statements are very important to understand, and we have advanced options for loop also to replace the loop statements. Is everyone clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So these are old syntaxes. So old ABAP syntaxes we are using as of now. So we have advanced syntaxes called inline declarations. Called inline declarations. We need to learn those as well. Both advanced and previous existing old syntaxes. Why? Why we need old syntaxes?
For ECC,
Yes, because there are a lot of support projects still running on ECC and previous versions of SAP, right? If you don't know syntaxes which are compatible for the EC system, you cannot work on those projects, right? At the same time, whatever the current implementations, whatever the new projects, in all those new projects, we are using advanced syntaxes, new ABAP syntaxes, right? Even old ABAP syntaxes also works in S4 HANA, but everyone is following new ABAP syntaxes in new implementation projects, right? So that's the reason you should have clear understanding on both old syntaxes and new syntaxes. Okay. So now we have, if you have clear understanding on these syntaxes, now let's replace these with which one? New ABAP syntaxes. Is everyone clear on this program?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Let me
Sir,
introduce. Yes.
sir, we are using here like data element, like employee ID, employee name, and with the data element we are typing now, sir.
Yes.
But we created structures, no, like dot include
Correct.
means for date of
Correct.
joining
Data
and
dictionary
yes.
structure.
So we can yeah, instead of these we
There
can use
also,
that
let me show you.
the
Let me show you. There also we use data types, data elements only. I'm creating a structure. Just to indicate it as structure, I'm using S. Create the structure name. Select the structure. What are the fields I need? Employee ID, employee name. Type the data element name. Okay. With three fields and corresponding data element in the component type. Activate the structure. Instead of this type structure, comment this type structure. I don't need type structure anymore because I'm using data dictionary structure, comma. In place of type structure, I can use a data dictionary structure. Okay. Execute. Same, right? This data dictionary structure can be used in multiple programs. Clear?
clear, sir.
Now let's quickly create one program by using new ABAP syntaxes. That's called inline declarations. Create. Let me quickly create one program. In the next session, I'll introduce, like I'll explain in detail. So I'm going to implement the same functionality. Whatever we implemented here, I'm going to implement the same functionality. Where is our program? Existing program. This one, right? I'm going to implement same functionality. Please observe the difference. I'll copy that selection screen from here because my selection screen is same. Save. What is the next part? We need to select the data, right? And display the output, right? Select. I'll select only required fields. What are the fields I need? EMP comma. Observe the difference. Here I am using comma. EMP name, comma. What is the other field? I am selecting phone. Tell me the syntax. Into, sorry, from which table?
Employee tab.
ZMA employee into table. Did we define any internal table? Here in this
No, sir.
program, did we define any internal table?
No,
No, right?
no, sir.
So we can use inline declarations here. That means declaring the internal table in the select statement itself. How to do that? Use @ symbol, data, @ symbol, data, provide the internal table name. Okay? And where, what is that? What is our input? Doj equal to which one? P underscore Doj. Here we need to use one escape character, that is @ symbol. Please remember, in the where condition, right? In the parameter, before the parameter, you need to use this escape character, @ symbol. If sy hyphen sub rc equal to 0, and if you can use loop or CL demo output display. You can also use loop statement. Okay, there is a typo. Check the syntax. Activate the program. Execute. I have to maintain the selection text. Output is same or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So by using inline declarations, right, you can define internal table in the select statement itself. Okay, clear? How about
Yes, sir.
loop? Let me show you loop also. I'll copy loop statement from here. When we are using the loop, what we need? Work area, right?
Okay.
Do we need to define the work area separately using data statement data WA underscore EMP data? By using inline declaration, simply loop at internal table name, because internal table name you have already defined it, into simply use data. You don't need to use @ here because it is not the select statement. Okay, how to define work area? Like this, using data of, it will automatically define the work area. Okay, execute. Got the output, right? Why it is displaying in the same line? Both records in the same line, we need to use a slash, backslash. Okay, this is called inline declarations. You can define the variables. You can also define the variables using inline declarations. For example, how to define the variable? Usually, if you want to maintain any value, emp id type zdemo emp id. You need to define like this, and you need to use it, right? lv underscore emp id equal to some value. Usually we do like this, right?
Yes, sir.
But how can we do this using inline declaration? Simply at the data of lv emp id equal to, it will automatically define that variable. Okay, this is called inline
Sir?
Sir,
declaration.
what
Yes,
about the
Sir, a small doubt, sir.
yes.
Here in inline declaration, we are not giving any structure now, sir. Then what kind of structure it will take, sir? Like what kind of character it will take, what kind of length it will take?
Ah, here if you observe the table, we are selecting the fields, right? Employee ID, employee name, and phone number. So the same
Yes, sir.
type what we have defined in the table, it will take same.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay, sir.
let me show you in debug mode. It is taking same type whatever we maintained in the table in the data elements. Okay,
Yes, sir.
we'll see rest of the options in the next session. So going forward, we'll start using new syntaxes. That means inline declarations, and there are few other new syntaxes. Okay, we need to observe both the old one and new ones.
sir? Sir,